Good evening. Happy Thursday evening. Someone posted this particular video in my Discord and suggested I should watch it. And of course, why wouldn't I want to watch a video with such a handsome person in it? Look at this beautiful, beautiful man. Look at his tie, it's so suave and debonair. His luscious beard. Mm. Such a beautiful man. I could totally see why Nasty Nathaniel thinks that I'm so. What does he always call me? I don't remember. Anyway, so this is a Jason Zwack video. I don't know who this is. This is like the third time someone's recommended a Jason Zwack video to me. I tried watching one of them for a couple minutes and honestly couldn't make it through. Much like Lane Myers, he's one of these fast talkers who has no knowledge of what he's talking about, so he talks really fast to try to cover that up. If you could just spit out enough words fast enough, you're not going to have an opportunity to think about anything he's saying, and so it's all going to make sense because you haven't had a chance to think about it. It's like a gish gallop, but for making videos. People say, John, you talk really slow. I know you could always speed it up, but I don't want anybody to think that I'm going through and I'm just trying to baffle you with bullshit. So, there you go. Also, I don't use scripts or anything like that. You could probably tell that because of my constant ums and uhs and my less than perfect word choice. Anyway, so we're gonna play this. We're gonna listen to this beautiful, beautiful man talk and see what Jason Zwack has to offer. And yes, full disclosure, I have seen this video already. It's only 8 minutes long, so we'll try to power through it. And we are going to go. We're going to speed this bad boy up like 175. You can always slow it down.
Comments, and I would like to address them once again. Hopefully, I can get through to those people who don't seem to grasp this point. While the state is an entity, the fact that there was a previous prosecution by the city of Tucson, and now there is prosecution being brought by Pima County, does not mean that the two are related.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
The situation, the current
Okay, we're agreeing. That's great.
Myers is solely based on Lane Myers' actions outside of the events that led to him being charged and prosecuted in the city of Tucson.
That's kind of hard to follow, but if I think what he's saying is he's saying, then I agree.
What I'm saying is that none of the actions that led to him being prosecuted in the Tucson City case are involved in the prosecution in the Pima County case. Maybe I could have been more clear. I apologize for losing Mr. Zwack on that point, but I think he thinks he followed along, and I hope he followed along. So there we go.
And are otherwise unrelated to those. They're unrelated to those, except as to the point where those started the prosecution in the city of Tucson. The current criminal prosecution started when Lane Myers contacted the wife of the prosecutor in his otherwise irrelevant case for the sole purpose of harassing her to get her to put pressure on the prosecutor to drop the charges in the otherwise irrelevant cases.
Okay, now he just went off the Richter. Let me explain why.
I don't think I went off the Richter. That is the first prosecutable instance of harassment, and that is also the first harassing instance for a civil harassment restraining order. So I don't know how I went off the Richter.
This whole statement is incorrect. It's not a viewpoint. It's incorrect. The current criminal prosecution is for violating orders of conditions of bail by reading a police report to the people over the internet, and then subsequently a person randomly made a voice recording about it and sent it to Shannon.
I believe that his statement is incorrect. I believe that Lane Myers is currently being
prosecuted.
I believe he's currently being prosecuted for contact starting with the 912 phone call from Lane Myers to the alleged victim. And additionally, I believe he's being prosecuted for contacts made to her after the civil harassment restraining order issued. Those would be the felonies. And then there's a second set of charges that I believe are related to what Mr. Zwack is saying. The 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 felonies that are felonies that were done after he was out on pretrial release. So he's not they're not bond violation or bail violation charges. They're felonies and misdemeanors that are being charged, and they are for felonies and misdemeanors that Lane Myers allegedly committed post the pretrial release. So there's two cases going on. One case is for charges up to the date of his arraignment and pretrial release, and then there's a second set of charges for a second case, but both are still pending. But there's a second set of charges for a second case that are for felonies and misdemeanors that happened after he was out on pretrial release. Now he's currently in jail for violating the terms of his pretrial release, i.e., committing a felony while out on pretrial release. But let's listen to that again, because I think Mr. Zwack thinks that he's being charged for a bail violation.
Is for violating. Explain why this whole statement is incorrect. It's not a viewpoint. It's incorrect. The current criminal prosecution is for violating orders of conditions of bail by reading a police report to the people.
No, it's not. He's not being charged for conditions violating the conditions of bail. Let's see. It's Pima County Superior Court case search. Let's see if we can't do this. And we're going to go to case search. We're going to I agree to the above, and we're going to do Myers Lane, and we're going to search by name, showing you all the inside stuff. So this one, these two are the same. Were filed on 3/28, and so you can see you can see the charges. There are no charges in here, no charges for bond violation. That makes me wonder. Can I close this? How do I close this? I want to go back. But if I do this, oh, good. All right. There's the motion to withdraw. This one. There's a motion to withdraw a request for a rehearing on bail. Interesting. I wonder what that's all about. So as you could see, Mr. Zwack is just plain wrong. He's not being charged with a bail violation. He's being charged with aggravated harassment, interference with judicial proceeding, intimidations, threats, harassment, electronic communications, and stalking. So that's you're not batting 1,000 there, sir.
Over the internet, and then subsequently a person randomly made a voice recording about it and sent it to Shannon. That's what he's being prosecuted for currently.
I don't think Mr. Zwack has a really unbiased opinion about what's going on with Mr. Myers. He seems a little bit biased. He seems like he's trying to underplay what Lane Myers is being charged with. You know, Lane Myers didn't do nothing. He was a good boy, and all he did was post a video or something.
Of the prosecutor in his otherwise irrelevant case, for the sole purpose of harassing her.
Okay, for the sole purpose of harassing her. Sole means only. The one and only purpose is to harass her. Yet in the same breath, he then gives a reason for that harassment. Think about that.
To get her to.
Yeah, let's think about that. I went to an all-you-can-eat Indian food buffet for lunch today. And afterwards, on the way back to the office, my tummy started rumbling and it started to hurt. And so I went into the restroom for the sole purpose Once I got to the office, I went into the restroom for the sole purpose of taking a post-Indian food poop so that my tummy would stop rumbling and my intestines would stop hurting. Am I contradicting myself? No. My sole purpose was to poop. Lane Myers, his sole purpose was to harass her. That's what the judge found at the trial for the harassment. The judge asked Lane what his legitimate purpose was, and Lane Myers had no legitimate purpose. The court found he had no legitimate purpose. The court found that Lane was not a credible witness, i.e. he was a liar. The court found that the alleged victim was a credible witness, i.e. she was telling the truth. That's what the court found. We could actually play that. Starts right about the 14-minute mark. Close enough. We're going to play that. This is from the trial.
I am finding that the plaintiff is credible and she is believable that she definitely feels like she's...
The closed captioning is wrong. He said, I find that the plaintiff is credible, she is believable, that she definitely feels like she's being harassed, etc.
Being harassed. I found everything that she told me, not only about her feelings and what she's going through, but also just the facts, her summary of the videos.
He found her facts, the summary of the case, credible, and so he didn't even watch the videos.
I'm finding that she's all credible there. I don't feel...
She's all credible there. I don't feel the need to watch the videos.
Look at the videos. I think both the parties have told about it. As for the defendant, I am not finding him credible. I do not believe much of what he said. In particular...
So what he says is not credible.
When he laughed, in my opinion, and I'm finding that he laughed and was excited about the voicemail from the third party and the awful things that were said about the plaintiff.
Objection, Your Honor.
All right, so that's enough of that. So when asked about the legitimate purpose, when was the legitimate purpose? When was that discussion? That was... I don't remember where that was.
You can walk right over there. I'll go with you. Somebody says, yeah, he's looking for the statute, but it's in court of finding of 28. HP function against order to, I'm sorry, appeal is an injunction, third part statute. Excuse me, under statute conversation.
Hard for me to pay attention when you go
Under overheard as such Cahill. She's
either contact information, complaining about her, and either find explicitly or by inference that by giving Ms. Walker's contact information, complaining about her, and encouraging people to contact her, that's not you causing a communication with her.
Oh, absolutely. We have the right to communicate with her. I want as many people as possible to contact her, and they're going to keep contacting her under the First Amendment. Why did she get an injunction against that guy?
So he's basically agreeing that he's trying to get people to encourage her. There's somewhere in here, I don't know, somewhere around the 1 hour mark. I don't remember exactly where it was, but the judge asked, like, what was your...
And so it's defined the fact that you have to have more than, or excuse me, the in-person contact part, that is not, because I have the right to go there and ask her for an interview. And another point I want to make is that she claimed that she'll contact with alleged harassment victim.
Information in the YouTube videos and asking your father.
She was getting sent home because somebody called over there, and I believe it was Ms. Walker.
And the legitimate purpose for including Ms. Walker's
any way, shape, or form.
What's the legitimate purpose for
My rights as a news reporter to voicemail.
help me understand why that's professional? Your language did not see
Inside ex parte, whatever you want to call it, type stuff going on.
project where you call
He's the director of special projects at the States. I mean, I feel like we're open with that, so we're on the same page there.
to do that. I have the statute right here.
Perfect. So I'm focusing on the legitimate purpose part, and you open with that, so we're on the same page there.
So tell me what the legitimate purpose was for listening to that voicemail that was Exhibit 1.
So, for listening to it or sending it?
Sending it,
For-
sorry.
to ask her if there was any programs, because as it states, I mean, I feel like she wasn't completely truthful about her job. It says it right here on the website when you put her name in, that she's the director of special projects at the James E. College of Law. As a member of the Dean's Office, Shannon manages important strategic matters, projects, and relationships, working with a variety of stakeholders that are both internal and external to the College of Law.
So what special project were you calling?
I was calling to see if they, similar to what you asked, I wanted to know if there was any relationship between the U of A Law School and the city's prosecutor's office, where there was any, inside, ex parte, whatever you want to call it, type stuff going on there, because Stacey Jane has the access to justice, and I wanted to go use it.
To my ear, when I heard that voicemail, your tone of voice did not seem professional. Your language did not seem professional. You used vulgarity.
I didn't use vulgarity.
Well, maybe that's
That was the voicemail somebody else left.
Maybe that's in the eye of the listener.
That was a different voicemail.
Help me understand why that's.
Because I can. It's my First Amendment activity. I only did it once, and it's my right as a news reporter to call her and address her in my way. I didn't tell her I was going to threaten her, hurt her, any way, shape, or form.
What's the legitimate purpose for going to her office?
So that was basically because I can. So he thinks he can threaten her because he can, or not threaten. He thinks he can harass her because he can. So he's not denying that he did it. He just thinks that he can. I don't know why I got onto that point.
Put pressure on the prosecutor to drop the.
Oh yeah. So to put pressure on the prosecutor. So why do I think that her sole purpose was to put pressure on the prosecutor? Well, let's figure it out. Somewhere right around. Let's go there.
Hi, my name is Lane Myers, 520-771-2021. I see your director of special projects. Well, I'd like to ask if you can approve a special project where you help me and your husband's career for being a crooked-ass cop.
Where you help me end your husband's career for being a crooked-ass cop. Like, who in their sane mind would think that that is anything other than harassing her to put pressure on her husband? To end your husband's career I want you to help me end your husband's career for being a crooked-ass prosecutor.
Prosecutor want to be whatever he is. I need talk from prosecution. I figured the U of A, maybe Stacey could help me. Maybe I should talk to you or Stacey or maybe one of these. Because, my wife also is an alumni of the College of Law and is actually has taught there. So, we got two sides that are about to come crashing together here. So, you can help me teach your husband how to follow the law, or
you could help me teach your husband how to follow the law, or
I'm going to take his career.
Or I'll take his career. Obviously that's not harassing, right? But that's clearly harassing. The judge found it to be harassing. The judge found everything that Lane said to try to justify it to be not credible. So there you go.
Charges in the otherwise irrelevant cases.
Just as a statement on its own, that is fucking retarded. And secondly, if
Jason Zwack calls me retarded, it must be the case, because he's the one who thinks that Lane is getting prosecuted for a bail violation.
To account is or their reasoning why, because solely to change the prosecutor's mind or to make him drop the charges, right? Well, she's even testified under oath that that's not the case.
So no, it was solely to harass her, to put pressure on the prosecutor. It was solely to harass her. That's why I called. But his underlying intent was to put pressure on the husband, which is why he was saying, help me get your husband fired. Help me, do this, or I'll end your husband's career. It's directly related. Like, I don't know. You don't have to be like Nostradamus to figure this out.
Is with members of the judiciary. Apparently he had a significant other who was a federal law clerk and lost her position as a result of, I don't know if it's his videos, but it seems like that was some sort of factor. And he is convinced that I personally...
This is a live stream court, apparently, from 4/10/25, so about 14 days ago.
...am responsible for that. That he often claims I called Judge Sips at district court to have his significant other fired, which did not happen.
Oh, if we had that kind of power.
Right? I know.
I don't know why are we playing this. I watched this before, but I don't know why we're playing this, because I watched it and I wasn't really paying attention after this part.
Make him drop the charges, right? Well, she's even testified under oath that that's not the case.
She's testified under oath that it's not the case as to why he called her. So this is going to be her testifying under oath that Lane did not call her on, what was that? September 12th, I think, of 2024. So this is going to be her testifying that Lane did not call her on September 12th, 2024 to leave the voicemail that she testified about in trial and played in trial.
Of the judiciary. Apparently he had a significant other who was a federal law clerk and lost her position as a result of, I don't know if it's his videos, but it seems like that was some sort of factor. And he is convinced that I personally am responsible for that.
So I'm not going to drag it out, but in this video, somewhere down here, he says that 2 or 3 hours after he left the voicemail, his ex either got fired, was forced to resign, quit, whatever. So first thing that happened was he leaves the voicemail. So regardless of whether or not his ex got fired or what have you on the basis of the victim complaining, regardless of that, it still started with the thing that happened before, which was the phone call. See, Mr. Zwack is having a real problem because the phone call comes before the, in air quotes, wife gets, in air quotes, fired. So time flows one direction. There's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end. There's a before, there's an after. First was his phone call and voicemail on her phone. Then the firing. So any retaliation for the firing would be, you guessed it, after she made the phone call. So it would still start when he made that phone call. It still starts with him making that phone call because that's the first action of harassment against her. I don't know why this is hard.
That he often claims I called Judge Sips at district court to have his significant other fired, which did not happen.
Oh, if we had that kind of power.
I know.
So,
a lot of things would be a lot easier.
Solely.
So even the judge there is laughing about you don't have that kind of power just to fire court staff. But obviously Mr. Zwack is going to ignore that. He's going to ignore that because why would you pay any attention to that? That ruins Mr. Meyer's narrative that this random gal who works for the law school could get a federal law clerk fired with a phone call. Okay.
Solely to make the prosecutor back off charges. That's why he contacted her. Bullshit.
Yeah, solely. Nothing in this thing that you played had anything to do with the prior phone call. Prior in voicemail.
Even the very first contact says.
Do you mind that thing down?
The very first contact. Interesting. All right.
Why he contacted her. Bullshit. And even the very first contact says.
Do you mind that thing down?
September 12th at 8:18. I see your wife works at the U of A Law School. How ironic. Yeah.
I see your wife works at U of A Law School. How ironic. That's a contact with who? So you're confusing a contact with the prosecutor with a contact with the victim. Those are two different things, Mr. Zwack. They're two different things. So he didn't harass the victim by contacting the prosecutor, even though I believe those were on the same day. He harassed the victim when he contacted the victim. Look at the harassment statute. It has to be directed at the victim. In theory, arguendo, it could be argued that he may have been attempting to harass the prosecutor by leaving that message with the prosecutor about the prosecutor's wife, but that wouldn't be harassment. It started with a phone call to the victim and the voicemail that he left. That's where it started. Still, and you've demonstrated nothing to suggest otherwise. A phone call that he made to the prosecutor. What about any phone calls he made previously to the prosecutor? And why hasn't he been charged with that particular act of calling the prosecutor, if that's where it started? But pick one. Did it start with him being upset about his wife getting fired? Did it start with him calling the prosecutor? Pick one and stick to it, Mr. Zwack. You're so busy trying to prove me wrong that you're just not making any sort of a coherent argument at all.
For the sole purpose of harassing her to get her to put pressure on the prosecutor to drop the charges in the otherwise irrelevant cases.
Except here on 10-2, she admits that.
10-2. Why are we talking about 10-2? I said it started with this on 9/12. On this day, Lane called me at my work number and left a voicemail asking for my assistance. See, this is in chronological order with the oldest date on top. So the 9/12 date came before the 9/23 date, which came before the 10/2 date. So it still started with the 9/12. Like, is this guy retarded? Why do people keep sending me this guy's shit? Like he has anything that I need to interact with. It's literally it's fucking laid out in chronological order. The first thing was on 9/12. He called me at my work number and left a voicemail. Like, that's the first fucking thing. That's the first thing. Lane Myers is a defendant in Tucson City Court in a Tucson City Court case that my spouse Matt Walker is prosecuting. On this day, Lane Myers called me my work number and left a voicemail asking me for my, quote, assistance in helping my spouse be a, quote, or not to be a, quote, crooked-ass prosecutor, among other things. And then a few minutes later, he sent an email to my spouse's work email saying he will come to my workplace to talk to me. Like chronological order, like time. How does it work?
In this video, he states that I went after his wife's job. In the comment in his videos, he responded to a question by saying that I had his wife fired, and he also responded to another comment of mine about the place of employment and phone number. Blah.
How did it start, though, Mr. Zwack? Why are you taking me saying this is how it started, and then you're talking about things that are almost a month later? What? How does time work, Mr. Zwack? Do you understand how time works?
Blah, 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 blah. So on 10.2, she was reading his comment section, and
wow, on 10.2 she was reading his comment section. But on 9.12 is when this whole thing started, when he left her a voicemail.
admitted another reason.
Because on 10.2, she wouldn't be reading his comment section if he hadn't started off on 9.12 by making her aware of his existence, by harassing her there. And then after that, he did other things like started making videos about her.
See, that's what happens when you make shit up as you go. How does this statement sound now?
It sounds pretty fucking good, Mr. Zwack, because it started this current... As you can see, it started with 9.12. I don't know how this could be. I don't know how this could be any clearer. It started 9.12. It started 9.12. 9.12. This is not a charge. This is if there's a contested hearing, the judge can only sit or wait right here. This appears to be from the civil harassment, but that still is the start of this, because I believe he's being charged for some of these interactions. And without the civil case, you wouldn't have the felonies, because you wouldn't have the interactions, the harassment violation of the restraining order. So it still starts with the 9.12. Like, I'm sorry you're not smart enough to figure out linear time and how it works.
His comment section and admitted another reason. See, that's what happens when you make shit up as you go. How does this statement sound now?
For the sole purpose of harassing her, to get her to put pressure on the prosecutor to drop the charges in the otherwise irrelevant case.
He's making this statement because he heard this statement.
Well, how does it sound? It sounds like logical, sane, like someone who understands how time works and the direction that time flows and cause and effect. Do you understand cause and effect, Mr. Zwack? The cause of all of this was on 9.12. He contacted her and left a voicemail that was harassing in nature, that served no legitimate purpose. Everything else flowed from that point.
And that it was also that I could be intimidated, and by extension, my husband out of no longer prosecuting this case.
And from your perspective,
And the court found her testimony to be credible. So that is fact. That is fact. A finder of fact has found that to be fact. She came up with the same conclusion I did by listening to the voicemail. She came to the same conclusion the judge did by listening to the voicemail. Literally every sane person has come to that conclusion. And I understand cause and effect and the linear flow of time and the difference between before and after.
is there any reason Mr. Myers should be having any sort of contact with you?
Absolutely not.
And have you ever told him to stop having contact with you?
We've never spoken. I've been.
Even if you're like this guy and you don't believe people can lie or whatever, or you don't care if they're lying.
Oh, no, I believe people can lie, and I care if they lie. And I found her to be credible. I've heard the voicemail. I found Lane Myers to be not credible. The judge also found Lane Myers to be not credible. The judge found her to be credible. I've caught Lane Myers in various lies because Lane Myers is not married. His wife was not fired. She quit. Or maybe she didn't quit. But was he lying when he said she quit? Was he lying when she said that she was fired? Because he said both. Which one was he lying in? And she's not his wife. She's his girlfriend. So, like, he is a liar. He's a known liar.
Forget all that. This statement alone is enough to dismiss everything.
The statement, you not understanding how linear time works is enough to dismiss me? Well, great. Anyway, I've wasted enough time on this cunt. I'm not going to respond to any more of his stuff. Like, this is just, like, the guy's, when you don't understand how linear time works, there's no reasoning with someone like Jason Zwack. He's going to do his thing. God bless him. I wish him a long and healthy life. But there's a level of stupid where they're just not reachable anymore. If you're not smart enough to understand linear time, before and after, cause and effect, sorry. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.